In today's lesson, we're going to be solving quadratics, but this time we're going to have multiple steps besides just square rooting. So your idea is that you want to get x squared or whatever is being squared all by itself. And you do this by doing the backwards order of operations, meaning that you're going to add or subtract first, multiply or divide second, and so on. So number 1, we're first going to subtract 3 from both sides. And then I would divide by -5. X squared would equal 12/5. And now we would square root both sides and don't forget your plus and minus in the front. So for number 2, the first step is no adding or subtracting outside of the parentheses. So your first step would be to divide that 3. And now square root both sides because that's how you get x in the parentheses by itself. So when you square root 4, you actually get a whole number of 2. And then you would add your 2 over. You can't add it to this term because this is a plus and a minus 2. So you have this 2 plus or minus 2. And you should actually do 2 plus 2 and the 2 minus the 2. So your x really equals 4 and 0. So for number 3, there's nothing on the outside of the parentheses at all. So your first step would be to square root both sides. So in number 3, you square root both sides and you get plus or minus 9. So it might be helpful for you to actually solve each one individually. So we're going to solve it equal to positive 9, and we're going to solve it equal to a negative 9. And just work both sides of the equation now. So when I worked both sides, I got adding the 5, dividing by 2, I got r was 7 here, and I got r was negative 2. So both of those solutions would work. So go ahead and try number 4 now. So I added my 6 to both sides, divided by 4. Now I'm going to go ahead and square root both sides here. So when I square root both sides, I'm going to get plus or minus the square root of 12. Don't forget you should practice breaking down the square root of 12 into 4 times 3. So x equals plus or minus 2 square root of 3. On number 5, instead of dividing by 1/5, remember you can multiply by 5. And now to get rid of the square, we need to square root both sides of the equation. The square root of 30 wouldn't break down into a perfect square, so you would just leave the square root of 30. And your last step is to add the square root. So x equals plus the square root of 4 plus the square root of 30, and 4 minus the square root of 30.